Mulberry.
Mike, what are you doing? Stop doing that.
Hi everybody, it's Lindey. I'm here at Via Trading in Linwood, California, and I have Mike and Jenny with me, and we are here to answer all of the questions that you guys have about liquidation in general and also purchasing liquidation with Via Trading so that you feel the most comfortable that you possibly can taking the dive into liquidation. So these are probably the two best people that I could have here sitting with me to answer all of these questions. Jenny is the sales manager, and Mike is Mike. If you ask him his official title, he'd probably tell you, whatever it could be on this given day. So we're just gonna say that,
what are we today?
he's gonna be the head honcho. The freelancer.
I don't actually work here. I'm just hired help.
All right, so you guys told me the questions that you had that you wanted answers to. So we're just gonna sit here and we're gonna have a little chat. So first of all, I wanna know where Via Trading came from. Like, how did it get started and how it's grown into the business that it is today?
So we started in 2002, originally as a retail store. So we had a small retail store, 6,000 square feet in the middle of West LA. And from there, very quickly, it took a life of its own and became purely wholesale.
And is it always going to be 240,000 square feet, or do you guys have plans to expand into other warehouses, or?
I mean, we're not including our roller coaster outside, obviously, but I mean, there's always plans for, you know, improvement, growth. We're actively looking for new programs, getting new programs, so it's always a possibility.
Yes, I mean, the more we grow, the more merchandise comes in, the more the likelihood is we're going to need a bigger space.
Well, yeah, there's, I mean, those rumors about a brand new sorting space with a conveyor belt that's twice as long as the one that's processing now. So you would think that even expanding the process of sorting items, that would allow you to grow and do more than you're doing now, right?
Definitely. I mean, the processing should double, if not triple, and which in terms of volume, which means you need more than double or triple the space.
Right.
Or just sell it quicker.
Or just sell it quicker. So lots of people have questions about where all of this stuff comes from. Not just from where does Via Trading get it, but where liquidation comes from in general. And so there's a lot of questions surrounding that. So can you kind of enlighten us a little bit on where you guys get your merchandise? Like, where does all of this stuff come from?
So it's a variety of vendors. It could be department stores, retail stores, manufacturers. We have now offered a service where we liquidate products for other people who have aged product or a product they just tried all means to get rid of. So it could come from them. So majority it's department stores, retail stores, I would say.
How does the process work with that stuff getting to you guys though? So I know you guys have contracts, right? So you have a specific contract with any number of different retailers, and what maybe they have items that maybe didn't sell on clearance or they have too much. Is that where the merchandise kind of comes from? Is they call you up and they're like, hey, we have all of this because of this reason, or am I totally off base?
No, yeah, it's a mixture of conditions. It could be customer returns, overstock, shelf pulls, master case goods that never made it to the store, master case goods ready for manufacture, as is, refurbished. It just really depends. The bulk of the items that we carry are customer returns, some old shelf pull overstocks.
That was going to be my next question for you, actually. If everything that people get are considered customer returns, or can you kind of go over the kind of conditions that someone could expect from Via Trading?
Sure, you have customer returns where these are items that were purchased from a customer that they didn't like, didn't need, there's missing a piece, something's damaged, for whatever the case is, out of package. They return it to the store doesn't check it. and they resell it or pack it up in pallets and gaylords into truckloads, and that's how we would get that. The shelf pulls are basically items that are marked out of stock, that are pulled from the shelves, out of season product, items they need to move because there's probably too little in stock. Overstock items can be items maybe slow movers for them, items that are out of the season, they need to move. It's in their original casing, directly from manufacturers, never been opened, so that would be considered out of stock. The master case goods can be also items that never made it to the store, directly from the manufacturers. You have as-is products that, you know, you can get anything and everything in there. Probably items that have been gone through, items that, you know, the store doesn't know what it is. It could be a mixture of all the conditions, or you can also have working testing, which is basically someone actually put hands into it. We don't get as much as that anymore, but it can come every now and then.
Okay.
To clarify, all those product conditions will be under the salvage umbrella. So just because somebody receives a pallet or a case pack with a salvage sticker or salvage label on it does not mean the term that everybody thinks salvage means, like a junkyard.
Right, yeah. I remember I was out there looking for pallets for myself, and I saw salvage stickers on things. There's no way that it's like trash. Like, a lot of people associate salvage as being trash, and it was absolutely not. There was a sealed brand new box of diapers that had a salvage sticker on it. It's like, no, those are completely sealed. They can be used. There was welcome mats that were out there. Welcome mats that had zero damage. They were just in a bag with a salvage sticker on it. So I think that, and I'm really happy that you brought that up, because I think that that's something that tends to scare people away with buying liquidation. They see something that says salvage and they automatically assume, oh, I'm buying a box of trash, and that's not the case at all. It's just the retailer's definition, essentially, right, of we can't sell this here, so we're going to slap this sticker on it and liquidate it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's definitely something to keep in mind. Don't be afraid of salvage. It just means that it can't be sold in the store anymore. Yeah. Not that you can't be sold to anybody.
Definitely.
Or you receive a pallet that says salvage. Yeah. But sometimes, you know, customers will say, hey, my pallet says salvage all over it. You know, that's just because that's how the store labels it. It doesn't mean necessarily. Yeah.
That doesn't mean you put the sticker on there.
Exactly.
The store did.
Yeah, no, we don't put any of the labels on. The only label we would put is our orange pricing sticker. Mm-hmm. You also have cases where when somebody actually returns an item to a store, typically they have to give a reason. That reason, maybe it's missing a piece, it's broken, I changed my mind. 9 times out of 10, I would say, the store themselves, they don't open the box to check.
Right.
So they'll just write it on a little label, they'll sit there, they'll sell broken. And it could be brand new, somebody was just embarrassed to say they needed the money back, or they changed their mind, or whatever it was. So even if you receive that item and the tag says broken, open it, check it, and make sure that the return reason is actually correct.
So this begs the question, and this is something that I've always been really curious about. Maybe you guys can answer this. When someone takes something back to a big name retailer, a big box store, and they return it, do those items automatically get liquidated, or do they consider reshelving items after they're returned?
It depends on the store. We see now a lot of stores and department stores especially that they're trying to recover a lot of those, a lot of their money back.
So they'll try to sell
selling
it again.
Coming back with different ways on how to sell it put it on sale, just so they can recover as much back from what they originally invested.
So they don't automatically liquidate every return that they get.
Right. Well,
some
returns just for restrictions, I'm pretty sure that they will, but like what looks to be new but returned, let's say for example we have one vendor that puts a return sticker on one of their retail tags. So customers think, well, this is customer returns. Yeah, but the retailer will supply that, but a customer will be like, okay, well, this is not what I wanted, and I probably received it as a gift. Here you go. They don't remove that sticker. They just leave it as is and put it in the shelf. It's still new.
Right.
You know, it's considered shelf pull now. Right. But it's like new product. So they'll deem that that's good to sell. Usually if it's open box or if it's a toy that someone's handled it, you know, for restrictions, obviously they wouldn't be allowed to put that back on the shelf.
I was just always curious about that. I'm like, well, if I return this to the store, is it going to end up getting liquidated, or are they just going to sell it again? Because I I know if I get things returned on eBay or something, I'm just going to sell it again. I'm not going to liquidate it, but a big box retailer might be a little bit
Yeah, I mean,
different.
the liabilities will be a bit different, but I tell everybody keep returning them. I tell them what stores to return things to because they'll end up here.
Well, because there was actually, side note, there was a big box retail store that I shall not name because that's, well, sidebar, we're going to sidebar this for a minute. I know lots of people are curious about exact locations where items come from, but unfortunately, due to contractual obligation, you are not allowed to disclose that, correct?
Correct. We have direct contracts with these major department stores and retailers, and under contractual obligations, we can't advertise their store names, we can't advertise their logos, we can't even advertise their private label brands.
Right.
And that's again because we have a direct contract. We're not going anywhere else through another liquidator, another wholesaler. It's
right. So that's a sidebar. That's a sidebar because I know that everybody is really curious to know exactly where the stuff comes from. And I mean, I'm sure that if you're talking with your rep, you know, that kind of information can be disclosed, but on a public level for marketing, we can't
definitely.
talk about.
I mean, we can walk around the warehouse, we speak on the phone, we can tell you this is from this store, this is from that store, but we just can't put it out there in the universe.
You just can't like advertise it.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, how we kind of got sidebar. I noticed I took an item back. It was a grocery item. I took to a big box retailer, and the lady that took it back actually told me that grocery items are basically thrown out.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of a little bit of an eye-opener for me. I'm like, well, how much of this kind of stuff are you doing that with? Like, if I return this, I get my money back, and then you're just going to chuck it just because of the category. So it makes me thankful that companies like yours exist because it gives that stuff a place to go rather than in
it's a new lease on life.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Some retailers actually would donate it too to food banks.
Oh, that's good.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But there are very few. Obviously, you'd need some regulations to do so. But yeah.
Right. Okay, let's talk about how people can buy the stuff. We see pallets. Do you have to buy a pallet? No.
That's it. Next question. No. So, I mean, we sell merchandise by the case pack, the pallet, the lot, which is multiple pallets, and the truckload. So those are your 4 different categories. I mean, we also have in-house auctions where you can come and buy, well, I guess it's still case packs and pallets, no? But it could be smaller quantities. But in the main, those are the 4 different categories.
So you can service someone who wants to buy a small box, maybe weighing 30 pounds, all the way up to someone who wants a truckload to supply a store.
Correct. And everything in between.
And everything in between.
Yeah, so you want to come, you want to buy 1 case pack, we've got case packs for you. You want to buy 1 pallet, we have pallets for you. You want to buy 6 pallets or 12 pallets, we've got that option. You want to buy 1 truck, 10 trucks.
And what categories do you specialize in? Is like, are people, when they shop with Via Trading, are they looking to buy mostly clothing? Are they looking for electronics? What kind of items can someone buy from Via Trading?
It's a variety of goods. We have everything. We try not to keep as much food, but we have tools, clothing, fashion accessories, cosmetics. Is anyone looking for a specific item? It just really depends on the business and what they do and what they specialize in. If someone comes and says, I want to start a flea market event, selling merchandise, so we'll suggest maybe, okay, you could try general merchandise if it's, according to what they're currently selling in the flea market. But yeah, it just really depends on the business.
So you can pretty much accommodate anybody. You can accommodate any kind of business, and you can accommodate any size business.
Correct.
Yeah, suggest the best merchandise for your needs. I mean, if you're online, you're probably wanting to stick more with shelf pulls and overstock rather than returns. So we have it geared down to simplifying it.
And so you have a dedicated rep for that reason. So if I walk in the door and I sign up to be a customer, I get a sales rep, and then from there, my sales rep knows everything about me. They know my business, they know my budget even, they know how much I want to buy and how frequently I want to buy, and they're there to assist me and let me know when something might come in that I'm interested in, that's maybe my price point, and let me essentially buy without even being here if I can't be here.
Exactly. So each individual customer will be assigned their dedicated account manager, And from there, I mean, it's both their responsibilities to help that relationship grow and flourish, because the more an account manager can learn about each individual customer's needs, the better they'll be able to service them. And the better they can service them, the higher the likelihood the customer will grow.
So that's one of the things that I could really appreciate about having a dedicated account rep, or account manager. What do you guys officially call them? An account manager?
Account manager.
Okay, so having an account manager allows you to shop for items that are not online without having to be here. Like me, I'm in Kansas. I am super far from you guys, and it could be essentially disappointing to me not to be able to be here and be able to see the items that are not getting put online, because, I mean, I think we talked about this earlier. Stuff just comes in and moves so fast, you can't possibly put everything online because there are some unique pallets and you can't go, you just can't put them all online. It's just not possible. But having the account manager allows you to essentially be here without being here, because that person knows your needs. They know what you want. If they see it, they know it's here. They can call you up and be like, hey, we just got this pallet. Are you interested? Send pictures, have that kind of relationship. So you can live in New York and essentially still be here in California purchasing things that aren't on the website. Right.
Correct.
So that's something that I thought
You
is
can also
very
be further than
cool.
New York.
Yeah, so, yeah. You could even tell them, where else can you be if not
Anywhere in the world.
anywhere in the world?
Yeah, I mean, we do about 30% export, which is typically about large container loads. So we have a lot of those customers have never even been here, have never
Set foot here?
No, I've never been to the States even. And they're just buying container after container after container. So it's just building trust through text messaging, phone calls, WhatsApp, FaceTime, emails, you name it.
And so you
Videos
have
like this.
clients that are outside of the country that have never even been here that are just repeat customers because they love it so much. Okay, let's go back to talking about someone who might be able to get started on liquidation. Are you able to accommodate people who don't have thousands of dollars to invest and start doing liquidation? Like if someone were to come to you and say, I only have a few $100s, but I would like to dip my toe in the water, so to speak, and I want to try, are you able to help those people? Or does someone really have to have like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in order to get started?
I would say the majority of our single pallets are in the hundreds of dollar range. So probably the average price per pallet on the floor is what, $300-$400?
Yeah. So you have pallets that are only $300 or $400. So if someone wants to buy a pallet, they don't even have to spend $1,000 for a pallet.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, I mean you can get cases in the low hundreds, so $100-$200 and up, and then you can get pallets. I mean there's pallets even at $100. But on average, I'd say it's anywhere from $200 to $400, and then you've got different scales.
And then you do auctions as well, right? But those are only local.
Yeah, so we have in-house auctions twice a month at the moment. The first and third Thursday of every month, and those there's no minimum. Bidding starts as low as $1, either per pallet or per piece, depending on how it's being auctioned off. It's all going to be in bulk, but by the piece, meaning we know there's 100 pieces in that pallet, so you're bidding whatever, $1 a piece, for example, as opposed to $1 for the pallet.
Just to build a little bit on what you asked before as far as the pallets and what they start at, you also have to consider the shipping charge. And that's what your account manager
That was going to
here.
be my next question for you. Is that shipping?
That's what your account manager is here for. So we wouldn't necessarily recommend a $300 pallet and ship as that, if not that much, to get it to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just doesn't make sense, especially because you're risking, if it's a customer's returns, you're risking that the items may not be working. Now, obviously, as the items of a higher dollar value, then it would probably make more sense. So you should also keep that in.
For me personally, when it came to buying pallets from you guys, I was doing pallets that were in about like the $2,200, $2,300 range. And when I factored in shipping, it was only adding maybe 5 cents per item for the shipping cost. So that's definitely something to factor in. If you're not here picking up the pallet on your own, if you do have to have it shipped, you do have to factor in shipping. So let's talk about shipping for a minute, because that is an area where there are a lot of questions. And I think the basic question is, how much does shipping cost? Because pallets are big, and for someone who's never bought a pallet before, they don't know what's involved. They don't have loading docks. They don't have forklifts. Like, a lot of people don't even think it's a possibility. So let's kind of talk about how something like pallets, like we all know how boxes are shipped. To pallets, I know that is a big question, and I would like to hear you explain exactly how shipping pallets would work to someone who might not be very familiar with it, and then I'll elaborate on my experience with having pallets shipped as someone who has pallets shipped. So
yeah, so I mean, we can talk a little bit about case packs. Yeah, right here domestically we have FedEx or UPS, but internationally, when you're importing these goods, there's other costs that you need to consider, also taxes and whatnot from customs, or even if the item is allowed to be imported into the country. So that's something to consider when you're shipping internationally. The other, the pallets, which is what your question is, we do LTLs. We can do up to 6 pallets of LTLs.
what does LTL mean?
Less than a truckload.
Less than truckload.
A truckload. Anything above that would have to be either a full truckload, or if you're within a certain mile radius to us, it would be a Southern California shipment, which is up to 12 pallets. So an LTL, less than a truckload, it's 6 pallets. But our pallets can be 2 feet high, 3 feet high, 7 feet high. So we can also offer the option to condense the merchandise, where if I can make 8 pallets into 6, so you can still save on shipping and be able to use LTL as a carrier, then we'll do that. So how does that work? If you're in a business, if you're a residence, that's our questions that we'll ask you, because based on that, we'll determine if you need a lift gate or if you don't need a lift gate to bring out the merchandise.
What is a lift gate?
So lift gate is basically a hydraulic platform that brings the pallet from the truck down to the curb. And some companies supply that, other companies may not. And we need to clarify that when hiring the trucking company that we use. So that's
because not every truck has that.
Exactly. And some customers will be like, oh, well, I'll just go on top of the truck and offload it myself.
Right.
And unfortunately, for insurance purposes, many or most truck companies would not allow that. So with that being said, then yeah, it would be less than a truckload.
Has there ever been a situation where you could not deliver a pallet to somebody? Like whether it's their address, like they're too rural, there's no trucks that could drive down that road, because that is a big concern. There's a viewer that I have in particular. She said that she could never get anyone to deliver a pallet to her because of the rural road that she lived on. Trucks wouldn't drive down there. Is that something that you guys see happen? Or have you ever had that instance come up?
We can come across some of those cases, but usually what truckers do or companies do is that they have only certain days of the week that they go to that area. So transit time can be a little longer than what it is. If I put an address and it tells me that it takes 5 to 7 business days, that's what we'll tell the customer. But unfortunately, we can't control, certain aspects of the delivery. And that can be one of the cases where the transit time could be longer, just because, they have to go over the road down to grandma's house they go, So yeah, it could take longer than expected. That's the only cases that we've had. Never where a customer or a freight company says, oh, here's your pallet, I can't deliver it. Good luck.
That hasn't ever happened.
To us that I know of. Mike?
Yeah, no, I mean, maybe a freight forwarder could have gone somewhere and realized whatever their truck, for example, is too big. So then they have to reschedule, maybe send that pallet to another carrier that's more local and does local deliveries. And then they'll come with a bobtail or a smaller truck to deliver. But I've never heard of somebody not being able to deliver a pallet.
Can someone arrange their own shipping if they choose to?
Yeah, definitely. Especially from our warehouse. You can pick up yourself. You can arrange it yourself. We don't make any money from freight. It's just a service we offer, because why have people come buy merchandise from us and then have to go call another freight forwarder, pay somebody else, get all the dimensions?
That was going to be another question, is if you guys completely handle shipping, because that's something else that people are scared about. Is there are some companies out there that be like, okay, well, you can buy this, but you have to arrange shipping yourself because we don't handle that. But you guys, I mean, you already have companies that you work with. You say, all right, you buy the pallets and we'll arrange shipping for you and we'll get you the best deal, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly it. We get the best deal. We shop even for your shipping charges. Whoever gives us the best rate and has the best service, that's who we'll go with. You know, and unfortunately, if you've never done shipping and you try to go to a carrier, they're going to give you a top-notch rate, not necessarily, you know, if you ship in bulk or you ship a certain volume, which is what they look for.
So a point that Jenny actually made is that we'll go get you the best and most aggressive quote with the best service, because the cheapest isn't always the best. You may be shipping 2 pallets and it's only costing you $200 to ship, and the second best quote is $350. Chances are that $200 quote is going to take you like 10 days to arrive.
Yeah, you don't want to end up having the stuff that you bought damaged because someone
there is that too. There is that too, and there are some carriers that are a little bit better, that offer better service than others for whatever reasons. I mean, that's a whole other video we can get into. But some of them are middlemen, so some of them will go, let's say if it's going to Kansas, some of them may only ship all the way to Colorado or Utah, and then they pass it on to somebody else. And then that person will go all the way to Kansas, but then in Kansas, they'll pawn it off to somebody else locally. And then that's delaying each day probably, each point that it stops in probably delays it an additional day. So that's just 3 days. And then there's the actual transit point. And then does it get lost? So they know where it is. So in shipping, cheapest is definitely not the best.
Definitely not the best. And that's probably something that a lot of people need to understand is when you are buying something that you plan to, especially that you're planning to resell, you want to make sure that stuff's taken care of and arrives to you in the condition that you would expect it.
Yeah.
That's another thing you should know every time when you receive something that looks to be damaged, subject to inspection, or if it has a clearly damage to it, note that to notify your account manager, because we can go back to the freight company as a courtesy to tell them, hey, you know what, you damaged this product, and you know, considering the amount obviously that they've lost, if it's a manifested pallet and half of it is missing, you know, that's something we need to, you know, backtrack to the freight company. Hey, you know what? You failed to deliver this product.
Yeah. So what we do is we black wrap all our LTLs in particular and all our pallet shipments, which means it's just literally just black. You see nothing but black, glossy shrink wrap. And once you receive your shipment, you're signing off on a bill of lading, which is basically just a shipping document saying how many pallets, the weight, where it came from, where it's going to, and you have to sign that you received it. So if you clearly see visible signs of damage to the outer shrink wrap, you definitely should know that on the BL and inform your account manager as soon as possible. Because if you don't note anything and then you bring it into your warehouse or to your garage and you walk around the pallet and you see there's a big hole and it looks like something's been missing, some funny business happened. But now you have no leg to stand on anymore because you've confirmed that you received it and everything was good.
So if your pallets are delivered and before you go to the hassle of like signing off on it, you want to look it over and make sure that the wrap and everything is essentially pristine, like someone just wrapped it up, because there's no reason that anything would be a little bit ripped or anything like that, because it's not that way when it leaves here.
Correct.
It is completely sealed, completely wrapped. And so if there is anything, what would somebody do in that event? Like, of course, you don't want to sign off on it if you think that there's some sort of damage. What would someone do in that sense?
So you would sign off on it, but you would state what you saw. So let's say you found, I don't know, a hole on the top shrink wrap. So you'd say there was a hole, whatever, 5 inches wide on the top shrink wrap.
Subject to inspection.
Subject to inspection. And then you would send us a copy of that BL. So always either take a picture of it or request a copy. And then we would bring that to the freight forwarder. Now, as much as we can go and fight for our customers, freight forwarders will drag this on as long as possible. So claims can go anywhere from 30 to 90 days, I would say. I think the longest it's taken is maybe even like 120 days or something, which is ridiculous. Just to say, hey, 3 items were missing and it was, whatever, $30 worth of goods. So that's when we can step in and be like, okay, we'll comp you the difference and we'll wait to get comp from the freight forwarder. But it's always on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question is, so as the buyer, would I have to wait for that to be resolved, or would you guys take care of me in that sense?
We're nice people. I mean, again, it's case by case. Depends how it was handled, how it started. If you know what I mean.
And that would this also be the case if someone had, let's say someone ordered a box of clothing and it was supposed to be all new condition and it arrives and the box is just smashed. There's like a rip in it. There's stuff that got dirty because it was rolled around in the dirt because the box got wet and was busted. Do we have protection over things getting damaged like that during transit? Because obviously we can't sell it as new anymore if it's got dirt all over it because it was rained on because it had a giant hole ripped inside.
I mean, we always advertise that shipping is at your own risk. Mm-hmm. It's a service, it's an additional service that we offer to simplify the customer's life. We have zero control over it whatsoever. So it's like you selling something, shipping it with FedEx, your customer receiving it and saying, hey, the box came all mangled, ripped open. It's nothing you can really do. Mm-hmm. So it's either are you able to help them in that particular scenario or are you not? So it's on a case by case
basis.
Yeah.
Additional, but we're nice. To try to be at least.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we understand.
I know that I would refund my buyer if there was an issue, so I would.
Yeah, you send us back the case, for example, and we'll send you a new one once we inspect it and make sure that, no pieces were taken out, for example, or anything like that. But, we receive dozens of trucks every single day, and if that happens to us, well, guess what?
Yeah, you can't exactly argue with the truckload. You got to take it.
We got to take it.
You got to take it.
So... think about that.
Okay, so staying on that same thing with somebody getting something from you guys that is damaged due to transit issues. So we talked about you guys backing us as the buyer in that sense. What if we receive an item and we feel that the condition was misrepresented? Maybe there was, I don't know, maybe we were somehow under the impression that something was supposed to be in one condition and we received something different than we expected. No, for instance, let's say clothing. Let's say I'm expecting to receive a box of brand new clothing with all of the tags on, and what I receive, half of the stuff doesn't have tags on it anymore. Is there any sort of, I guess you would call it protection for me as the buyer if I feel like what I received was not as advertised? Or how is something like that handled? Like if you feel like the items are worn and used as opposed to brand new condition?
I mean, I guess case by case basis, because we stand by our listings and our advertisements, so we don't inspect the merchandise. We sell everything as is. Now, if you're buying something that's new Overstock, let's make it simple, new Overstock cosmetics, and you receive a bunch of them that are 2 years expired, or some of them are dried out or broken or nail polish broke, we will compensate you accordingly for that, because we advertised and sold you brand new goods, which you should receive in a brand new condition and be able to sell brand new. Where it gets difficult is with customer returns, because you're buying uninspected customer returns, and none of our customer returns are ever inspected.
And that gets tricky.
And it's always sold as is. So when you buy something that's customer returns and you're like, hey, this is missing a piece, that's damaged, this is used, that thing's scratched. Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of the luck of the draw with returns, and that should be expected because it's customer returns. There are no guarantees. It's not like you guys. I mean, I'm assuming I didn't see in all of the looking around that I did. I didn't see an area where you guys were pulling things out of pallets and testing them to make sure they worked.
That's the locked section.
Yeah, so you guys get stuff on a truck, and either you sell the pallet completely untouched or you sort it, but there's no testing. You don't count puzzle pieces to make sure every single piece is in the boxes. And I assume that if you guys did do that, you'd be charging a lot more because of the man hours that would be involved to test quality assurance on those items.
So more time and money would go into that, and then we'd be nice enough to pass that over to you.
Yeah.
The other, I wouldn't say issue necessarily, but what we have seen in the past is our shelf pull conditions too. They can have signs of usage or wear or tear just because they've been on obviously the shelf. People have tried them on, some even with makeup stains on them. That is something that you can find within the shelf pull condition. Now that you find returns literally used, ripped. It's possible to have that, but a very small percentage, and only because the same department of the vendor takes care of the customer returns, takes care of the shelf pulls too. So that's just a human mistake, a human error that happened where a couple pieces made it to the shelf pulls, but not necessarily. If we see that here, we remove them immediately. But if we don't, for whatever reason, we miss it, then you can't have that. But it's a small percentage. I'm talking about like 5 or less percent of the lot.
Yeah. And then, I mean, that is to be expected. We advertise that because, again, we don't manifest anything ourselves. We don't inspect it ourselves. We sell it as is. And you've got to leave a little slight margin of discrepancies because there is human error. But on the shelf pulls, and I know you had this issue as well, especially with clothing, you can still receive them with their security tags.
Yes, those security tags.
Yeah. And because that is literally pulled off the shelf. And the retailer doesn't care. Remember, it is salvage to them.
Right.
So they're taking it, they're throwing it in a pallet. And it comes to us. So whether they're scanning it themselves, whether they're not, it's irrelevant. They're not going to take the time to take that item, walk all the way to the cash register, stick it on the security tag remover, walk it back. That just takes time and more money. So they'll just throw it in the pallet. Now, if we happen to see something here, or if we have a customer that picks it up and opens the pallet or the case in the parking lot, we've got a bunch of those security tag removers here that we can utilize. If a customer receives them, we always suggest to send us pictures of the actual tags because we don't have all of the removers, but we've got the majority, I would say.
Yeah, and we usually didn't have an issue with that. Yeah. Either the customer would have it just because they have it already, they have their retail shop, or we'll just send a call tag to pick up those items, get them here, take it off, send it right back to you.
So we'll pick them up from you, we'll remove them, we'll send them back on them.
That's wow to me because that thing does happen, but not every company will say, ship it back to me, we'll take them off and send them back.
I mean, because we're selling you shelf pulls, and if you don't have a security tag remover, you can't really sell it.
And if you try to remove it yourself, if there's the ink, then you risk damaging the item if you're not doing it properly.
And yourself.
Yes, you get ink all over yourself too.
I don't know if those actually work like bank notes when you go rob. Not that I rob banks, but when you rob a bank and you see movies and it explodes like ink.
Please let Mike know.
Yeah, if anybody knows, comment below. Send me a picture of what it looks like.
I want to start moving over into because I know you guys do a lot. Like how much of the merchandise would you say is customer returns and used?
Used and customer returns are different.
Oh, you consider those different?
I mean, you can find used items in customer returns, but then when people buy used goods, that's a completely separate business.
See, in my reseller head, used and customer returns are the same category. Apparently
that's
not
somebody else.
Apparently not to you.
No, so
okay, let me put it this way. What percentage of your items would you categorize as brand new?
In terms of the merchandise we have in the warehouse?
That you sell to people.
Jeez.
I think a higher percentage would be definitely returns.
Maybe like 30?
I would say 80.
Oh,
and I mean,
no.
there's certain supplier that you advertise as returns, but there's like half of it or 80% is shelf.
But you don't. But what I'm saying, what would you advertise as being new? Like you want new merchandise? This is new.
So it depends on how we purchase it. If we purchase it as master case, we sell it as master case. We buy it as overstock, we sell it that way. If we buy it as customer returns, but it looks extremely clean and closer to a shelf pull condition, as Jenny was saying, we are still advertising it as customer returns because that's what we bought it as.
Okay, because what I'm getting at is a lot of people are looking for opportunities to buy things to resell and send them to Amazon. But with a platform like Amazon, brand new has to be almost pristine conditions. So what I'm trying to figure out is how to set up the expectation of brand new merchandise. Someone might be deemed Amazon worthy. So if someone was looking to buy from you pristine, brand new conditions, what should they look for? Should they maybe not look for just the term brand like new, or should they only do master packs because that's really the only true like pristine, brand new condition kind of merchandise?
I would focus on master cases as well as new overstock. Now, obviously, you'd qualify the customer, you build a relationship with them and find out exactly what they're selling, if they're ungated for anything, if they're doing FBA or if they're doing FBM, and what the situation is exactly. But In the main, you want it to be brand new. You want no damages, no scuffs, no used items, no missing pieces, nothing like that. So master case, Jenny touched base on earlier, is brand new, original, master packaging, brown boxes. And that you'll have typically a item ID on the outside or a barcode, and you can just ship that to FBA. New overstock as well, you can do, but a lot of new overstock will be assorted. So you're not going to get 1 or 2 SKUs X amount of times. It's going to be an assortment of all brand new merchandise.
And they could be potentially damaged a little bit, right? Because they're not in perfect little brown boxes with no corners getting dinged. They're in fact brand new, but they've been handled. They've been moved around, so they could be scuffed. They might have lost their perfect shelf-ready shine, so to speak.
Yes.
Master cases, that doesn't happen because it's essentially boxes within boxes.
Yeah, nothing can happen.
Nothing can happen to those. But other things that are brand new that maybe bump up against other things, they might not be as perfect, but they are still technically new. They're just, it's in a different state than master case, essentially.
Picky, huh?
Amazon buyers are extremely picky.
Yeah, no, if people want pristine, brand new, original condition, it's master case all the way. And typically for Amazon, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you prefer deep SKUs? So large quantities of one single item? So
it depends on the seller. Like me personally, I don't know how, at my current level, I don't know how I would feel about having an entire pallet of one item at Amazon, but I'd like to have 10, 20, or 30 of them. But like an entire pallet of one, I don't know if I'd go that deep, but that's just the level that I'm at.
Yeah.
Eventually I want to get there. But everybody looks to kind of scale. Most people, when they get going on Amazon, they're like doing retail arbitrage and sending in a few items here and there. People don't usually jump into buying pallets of master cases. A lot of people don't dive in like that.
Yeah.
But you guys can help if they're reaching that level. Sounds like.
I know a place.
You know a place? It sounds like you do. Speaking of Amazon, if you guys have master cases out there of something that I want to sell on Amazon, but I'm gated, are you guys able to provide some sort of invoice or information that can help me get ungated in Amazon so that I can sell it?
So we can't, we can give you the invoice, obviously, that you purchased from us. We can't give you a brand invoice because we are not the brand themselves. What we can do is send you a document with our letterhead saying that all our merchandise is sourced from reputable sources and it's going to be authentic.
Are we able to get an invoice, or not an invoice, but are we able to get something like that from you before we make the purchase, before committing to a certain amount of money that we may or may not be able to become ungated?
I mean, you can get a quote from us for what he was talking about. If we're dealing directly with the manufacturer of a product that has rights on the product, then we may be able to get some type of release for him to be able to sell it or them to be able to sell it. But that just really depends on a case by case. It's very niche. So
it would depend on someone's situation, how much they're wanting to buy, what the item is. Also probably has a lot to do with it.
What the product that we're selling.
Yeah.
Most of the product that we have, we don't have that paperwork or documents that we give. We can only give them our invoice and maybe authenticity report or something on our letterhead saying that we buy from legitimate, suppliers.
Because I know that's a big question that people have is how, if I'm wanting to sell something that you have, and I'm gated, how do I become ungated? Because there's only certain invoices and documents that Amazon will accept.
Yeah, I know Amazon's getting stricter and stricter on that as well. So we have sent some of those letters claiming it's true, but stating that everything is authentic and sourced from reputable sources. And as far as I'm aware, it's worked because nobody's come back and told us, hey,
it didn't work.
We tried your letterhead, it didn't work. Can we return the goods to you, for example, or anything like that?
Nothing like that's happened.
So as far as I'm aware, that hasn't happened. And if Jenny, that hasn't happened either, then. But try it. Let us know if it works.
All right. So here's another big question people have: is everything manifested, or is it all essentially mystery boxes?
Mystery boxes. Yeah, no. The vast majority is not going to be manifested.
Because I do know, because I have seen manifests, so I know that they exist, but it's only on particular pallets. Like cases are not manifested.
Correct.
Like I know the cosmetic cases, they're sort of manifested. They're more manifested by percentage rather than exact. Yeah. there's a percentage for category versus an exact quantity amount of specific items. I think when people are thinking about manifest, they're thinking, okay, these specific items and these specific quantities of this specific value. But those are more like, oh, there's a percentage of this category, roughly a percentage of this category. I know that the clothing pallets that are all the brand new, those are all manifested.
The HE, yeah.
The HE ones are all manifested, but the cases of the HE are not.
Correct.
So yes, but then other than that, all of the other pallets, are those just?
I mean, there's a lot of other merchandise that is fully manifested. We list all our manifests online, so if you go to viatrading.com and then you click on the Load Center tab, as long as you're registered, you'll have a list there of all the manifests. The majority of the merchandise, I don't know how much you see in the video, but in the warehouse are not manifested. It's just a flat price per pallet, sold as is, and it is what it is.
And they're only manifested because the store or the vendor will provide that manifest.
So you guys don't do any of the manifesting yourself.
Exactly, which comes to my next point is these are just to be used as samples to determine your purchase because you can have discrepancies on these two. And our vendors will tell us that just because of the same reason, because of human error. But okay, I have a manifest, states it has 100 pieces, it only came 50 pieces. Obviously, that's not the case. You shouldn't come across that. There can be some discrepancy about 5 to 10%.
Yeah, so I mean, you get a bunch of items and whatever. There was a T-shirt and it says it was blue, but it comes in as green. Human error, right? Maybe they scanned the wrong item, maybe it was manually inputted. Or, it said it had 2 of this T-shirt, but you really had 1 of this T-shirt and 1 of another one that looked similar. Again, human error. Things of that nature can always happen.
Right. So I have to ask you guys this in the most respectful way. Are you skimming all the good stuff off the top?
Damn it, how do you know?
No, okay, so seriously, we saw that you guys process stuff. It's no secret that stuff is dumped out, people dig through it, people sort it. So 2 questions that I have for you. Do you guys have a retail space that you sell for yourself, so you do take things out of the pallets before selling them? And do you process every single pallet and box that comes in here?
No and no.
No and no. Okay, let's talk about the first one. So there's a lot of concerns that liquidators essentially take the good stuff out of pallets and sell whatever's left, kind of almost robbing us of potential profits that we could be buying from you guys and you guys benefiting from selling it on your own. So that's a genuine concern that people have, especially when you are, we know you're digging in the pallets and you're pulling stuff out. So my big question is, are you guys resellers yourselves?
No.
Or do you just sell to resellers?
No, we're 100% true wholesale liquidators. We don't have a retail store. We don't have an online store. We're not even, nobody working at V-Trading is even allowed to purchase merchandise, let alone
So no
take
employees can buy?
No. And chances are you shouldn't even have an immediate family member purchase, but if...
So we don't have to worry about employees buying pallets before we can?
No, exactly, because if we're all allowed to buy merchandise and everybody that works here can buy merchandise, with all the vast experience that we have, we know what to buy, where to sell it, so on and so forth.
So that's a big concern.
We're keeping all the good stuff for ourselves, and then watch, that's going to get clipped. And we could eventually just keep it all for ourselves and then be like, yeah, sorry, no, I don't have that HBA pallet. I don't have that general merchandise pallet. And you're just taking it, giving it to your spouse or cousin or whoever to sell for you at the flea market. Doesn't work that way. We're 100% true wholesale liquidation.
Well, I mean, and also your operation is so big and you have, did you say 12 trucks a day bring stuff here?
We'll get approximately a dozen trucks that come here per day, and then we'll probably sell similar quantity direct from distribution facilities that we have contracts with.
So, I mean, you're basically moving so much stuff, you don't really need to sell one-offs online. I mean, you don't need
time
to.
and resources to do it.
Yeah.
It's a whole completely different business. And
It is a completely different business. There's a big difference between selling truckloads to one person versus selling 100 items to 100 different people.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it would be awesome to take all the good stuff, get a retail store, sell it.
That would
just
be
make
awesome.
money everywhere, but no, it's
That's not the business you guys are in.
No, not at all. So, I mean, in the processing video, that could be scrolling right now, what you'll see is we get truckloads that are all...
Sorting.
Oh, yes, it's called sorting now. We changed terminology. Production. Whatever, anyway. So we'll process truckloads. We'll take an entire 26 pallet load, 40 pallet load, whatever it may be. that the vast majority, I'm talking 90-95%, is all brown boxes. And those are all generic brown boxes. It may say a name on it, it may have a picture on it. Chances are it's not even that item. So we'll take those, we'll crack them open, we'll throw them on a conveyor belt, and next to the conveyor belts will be individual gaylords labeled with what the category is, and we'll literally just categorize them. So all the clothing would be dumped in one gaylord, all the toys dumped in another gaylord, all the HVA dumped in another, bedding in another, so on and so forth. There is no inspecting, there is no checking, there is no scanning a barcode, no manifesting, no cherry picking, no nothing. We just sort it so that when customers come here, they can actually see what they're buying. Because it's unfair for us to slap a price on a 6-foot pallet that's all brown boxes with us having no idea what's inside besides, hey, general merchandise, buy it for $700.
Right.
Someone's going to lose, either us or the customer. And if somebody loses, well, that's no good.
So do you sell pallets of merchandise that are just straight off the truck? You guys never even open it?
Yeah, so the vast majority is going to be fresh off the truck, never touched. It is what it is, the way you see it. And those are going to be pallets we can actually see what's inside.
Right, and so those are, that's what I was going to say to elaborate on, is the stuff that's straight off the pallet that you don't have to sort is the stuff that you can obviously look at and you're like, oh, that is an entire box of mugs.
Except for what they just saw, that one was actually sorted. So
Yeah, well,
yes and no.
but I mean, you can just look at it and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, well, that's a whole bunch of vacuum cleaners. That's a whole bunch of something. You don't have to sort that because you know what it is.
Correct.
Now, there could be one or two random items that aren't that in the box, though, because you didn't sort it.
No, 100%. So you'll get a pallet that's, it's a 4-foot tall gaylord that's a brown box, ultimately, with stuff dumped inside. Now, it would be shrink wrapped on top. So you can, obviously, for us to display it on the floor, we'll take off the shrink wrap so that you can actually see what's inside. Now, what's on the bottom, what's around the corner, we've got no idea. So we'll advertise it as general merchandise. If you have an entire shrink wrap pallet from the ground up, you can tell what it is, obviously, because there's no brown boxing around it.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be a kitchen, it could be tools, it could be toys, it could be whatever it is. Majority of our listings, we'll just say assorted or general merchandise, because majority is going to be assorted.
And most likely those pallets that we price by the pallets because that's how we purchase it, by the pallet. Usually manifested loads are not sold by the pallet unless they're manifested by the pallet.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something else to consider.
Big question that a lot of people had is, can you return unsold items?
Not to us.
No.
So if I buy,
Everything is as is.
I'll see. I kind of assumed the answer to this, but I wanted to at least ask because
Sure.
people were,
Absolutely.
but like if someone buys a case of cosmetics or a pallet of cosmetics and maybe they're having trouble buying it, it's still in brand new condition, can they say, can I return it to you? Can you buy it back?
Unfortunately, no. Sales are final.
All sales are final.
Right. That's why we have the dedicated account manager to make sure that you're 100% sure that it's going to sell and it's going to work for your business, whatever it may be.
Okay. Can you, I know that Liquidate Now is a question that people have seen on the site. They don't know exactly what it is. Can you kind of sum up what Liquidate Now is and if it would serve, like the kind of person that Liquidate Now would serve?
Sure.
So Liquidate Now is a service that we offer where we liquidate excess inventory for other retailers, wholesalers, vendors, whatever the case may be. So it's not something we sign a long-term contract with where we take all their inventory. It's somebody that may be going out of business or has a product that just didn't sell for them for whatever reason. They need to get rid of it. And we're literally their last case scenario. So if you haven't exhausted all potential options to sell this merchandise, don't call us because chances are you as the vendor, the liquidator, you're not going to be making money.
Mm-hmm.
You're either going to be selling it for cost, maybe under cost, or slightly above cost.
Just because you are just tired of dealing
You're tired, you need to get rid of it for whatever reason it may
You're
be.
paying storage or whatever the case might be because we're going to be bottom price and offers are accepted.
Yes, so then we accept offers as well. So we'll do our due diligence, we do the research, we see whatever. It's this item, it retails for whatever the case may be, $50. We see what we believe our customers would be able to sell it for, what condition it's in. Typically, in Liquidate Now will all be master case or new overstock. But we'll do the research to find out, okay, it's selling on Amazon for this price, it's selling over here for this price, over there for that price. Our customers would need to purchase it for this price, so we'll give the vendor a price range, we'll agree on a list price, but also entertain offers. So let's say it's sold for $50, we may sell it for 10, and probably tell the vendor, look, 10 maybe slightly too high, 8, 9 would be more likely, and then we'll know where to stand when we get the offers.
So this would be the kind of service for someone who has maybe at least hundreds, if not thousands, of specific individual one of a kind, well, not one of a kind, that's the wrong word. One single item, like not someone who has 500
Both.
various merchandise. No, it's
Yeah.
both.
Yeah, so often it's going to be one single item or 2 items that they need to get rid of for whatever reason, and sometimes it's just all their excess inventory, and it's not a contract like a big department store. They may have a chain of small stores, for example, or they may be wholesalers, and they just need to make space for new inventory, and they'll have a manifest, they'll have all the information available, and we'll sell it, and
So if someone was interested in using the Liquidate Now service, their account manager could help them with that.
Yeah, so we put you in touch with one dedicated person that handles the vendor aspect of Liquidate Now to get you on board. But then if you wanted to make an offer on merchandise that we're listing as Liquidate Now, yeah, you go directly with your account manager.
Okay, so if you're wanting to buy, you would do that with your account manager. If you wanted
Correct.
to sell, then they could assist you with the person that you would need to talk to.
So-
We have a platform. We have the liquidatenow.com where you can put your information there, or we will direct you to the person in charge of that.
Yeah. So then any listing you see on our website that says make an offer, or any email that comes out say, hey, make us an offer on this, it's 9 times out of 10 going to be from Liquidate Now. And in the SKU itself, if you see something -LN dash, LN stands for Liquidate Now. And then you know you can make an offer typically on those items.
Okay, real quick, let's talk about the abbreviations that we keep seeing on stuff and how a lot of people seem to be confused by the abbreviations on the website because they don't know exactly what they stand for. All of those acronyms essentially are because we can't disclose specific retailers, correct?
Correct.
Like we see HE, we say KM, we see ARW, we see all of these letters and nobody knows what it means. And yeah, and so people are wanting almost like a legend or a guide to know what that's supposed to mean, but that is something that we can't do just because that is almost, it's almost like something for you guys so that you know what's what, not necessarily for us, but for you guys, and so we can, I mean, what is it there for, I guess, is what I'm asking.
It's going to be for both. So under contractual obligations, we can't advertise store names. So more often than not, the acronym is going to be a play on the name. So you mentioned a few of them, which are fairly obvious, but then you got some that say HE, for example, which we've called high-end. High-end is not a name of a retail store.
Right.
But it's merchandise from a higher-end department store, which you can kind of figure out. If you can't figure it out, then that's what your sales rep is there for. Your account manager, you can ask them. They'll gladly give you that information. We just can't publicly advertise it and put it out there.
Yeah, so you can't create a cheat sheet, so to speak, for someone. That would require you would need to talk to your account rep and your account manager and find out, okay, what does this mean exactly? They would be able to help you, but as for having like a guide online, we can't do anything like
It's
that.
a very strict policy that we have just because we've literally changed 2 times a listing just because the vendor will come back to us and say that is close to what our name is, so you need to change it. And we have to abide to the rules because we want the goods, we want to be able to sell them, we don't want to lose our relationship with our vendors.
Someone asked a very specific question, and I want to ask it now because I'm curious myself. Are you guys ever going to carry high-end cosmetics?
What do you consider high-end?
MAC. It's basically Sephora, Ulta, brands that would be considered there. Basically not drugstore. Like Maybelline, CoverGirl, those are all basically drugstore, but higher end would essentially be even the next level up. Like you can't necessarily get it at the drugstore. You would have to go to a specialty beauty shop in order to get those.
Yeah, those are very strict. I mean, a lot of these manufacturers are requiring the department stores to return them back to you, and that's obviously just for protection for the market, and their brand. Now that you see some out there in the industry, it's possible, it's probably a little few, but unfortunately you can also come across counterfeit. We've had that issue, unfortunately, with some of our customers. You mentioned one of the brands, MAC. They purchased, fake merchandise.
Oh,
And, not from us. Yeah, definitely not from us. We don't carry those. But yeah, a lot of these brands are very strict when it comes to that. Hygiene reasons. It's just their policy. They don't want to destroy them.
So it's just a little more difficult.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more difficult, and the brands themselves don't want their goods in the secondary market because it's going to devalue those brands.
Yes.
So
yeah, that's something that needs to be considered too, is the manufacturer, the
and
businesses themselves.
in the main, and it's heartbreaking, but especially the higher brands, like all the French brands and Italian brands and all those, they will either shred them or burn their goods.
Recycle. Yeah.
And recycle. Like, they don't even want to donate it to put it out there in a third world country to help people in any way, shape, or form, because it's going to devalue their brand.
Right. And then, of course, the big one, do you need to have a reseller certificate in order to shop here?
No.
No, you don't. You don't require any business license, reseller's permit, whatever it is.
Any Joe Schmo off the street can come by here.
And so if you're physically in California, or we're shipping to California, and you don't have a reseller's permit, you have to pay sales tax, which is currently 10.25%. If you are anywhere outside of California and don't have a reseller's permit, there's no tax.
I know that from experience.
Why'd you ask them?
Well, I know that, but not everybody knows that. So a lot of the other questions, and I have a very big list. I know you saw the list of questions.
To go.
I would have to say, basically, the blanket overall statement. I don't even think we would need to go through every single question I have, because that is what your dedicated account manager is for. If you have specific questions, then it's just a phone call away, right? Absolutely. If you want to know, for instance, I have some questions here. Do you do estimated delivery? Or is there guaranteed delivery? Am I guaranteed to have it delivered during a certain time frame? There's just so many questions, but really, you guys can't tell me today, pallets are always delivered in 5 days. I mean, could you answer those kind of questions? I would think that those would be case-by-case basis. Am I wrong, or?
Yeah, we can answer the question. Yeah, it's not guaranteed, unfortunately, because we don't control the shipping aspect of it. We can give you an approximate date of transit time just based on what they're giving, what the trucking company is giving us.
What I think a lot of people, I don't know if they forget or if it's just unclear or they don't know where to find it, our website, viatrading.com, has an abundance of information. So we've got an entire How It Works page, which will cover all the product categories, all the product conditions, shipping, payment methods, resale information, whatever you need. We also have a resource center, which will help you with shipping calculators, which will give you all these different widgets where you can calculate your shipping. If your pallet weighs this much and costs this much and freight is this much, what could your return on investment potentially be? Or, it's hard for me to elaborate without actually seeing each one and going into detail one by one. But just check out the website, because you go to a resource center or a resource page or load center and How It Works page, and all the information you would potentially ask is going to be there. And it's literally 1 or 2 clicks.
Okay. And then something else that a lot of people have been asking is, where would you recommend someone start? If someone's never bought liquidation before, what would you recommend? And that's something I would think that the account manager would be able to better assist, because everybody's going to be different. You might talk to me and you might say, oh, Lindey, you want to start with doing at least 2 pallets because of the shipping and because of this is the area that you're in. But then someone else, we would recommend that maybe you start with a $425 box of junior clothing, because that's going to best suit you. So it's really hard to, I would assume, say, you should always start with a case, because
it's 100%.
That might not be the best thing for everybody to start with.
It's 100% case by case. So it depends on your sales channel. Are you selling online, and then where online? You've got everywhere from Amazon to Facebook Marketplace and everything in between.
If you're selling flea markets.
You've got flea markets, swap meets, retail stores, export. Are you an auctioneer? Do you auction off by the pallet? Do you auction off by the piece? Are you a wholesaler? Do you process? Do you sort? Are you selling from home? Is it just a yard sale? Are you on the East Coast, West Coast? What? It just keeps going. So the qualification process is very crucial. And a lot of times you'll call people that are registered and you'll ask questions, and they may refuse to answer those questions. And then you're just hitting a stumbling block, because you can't actually help those people. And you can't steer them in the right direction. But people that say, hey, I'm looking to start, I've got X amount of money that I'm willing to invest, what do you recommend? The first question will probably be, how are you planning on selling your goods? And if they say they don't know, that's where you come up with the different suggestions. Because if someone wants to sell on Amazon and use FBA, but they're not tech savvy whatsoever, I'd probably tell them to do a little bit more research, go watch some YouTube videos, go get a tutorial code somewhere, go just play with Amazon a little bit, and in the meantime start selling elsewhere that's significantly easier, the likes of Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, Let Go, and all those. So definitely case by case basis.
Okay. And then here's another question. What's the difference between liquidation and wholesale?
Remember I told you that question was going to pop up. So, wholesale is selling merchandise in large quantities. Liquidation is merchandise that's been liquidated. And then wholesale liquidation is merchandise been liquidated in large quantities.
You have
Google is
that.
a wonderful place.
You have that answer.
I actually did it. When I read that question before, I didn't have the answer. But yeah, is there anything else? No. Just large quantities of goods and liquidated goods.
Chicken and the egg.
Yeah.
Are all boxes under 50 pounds?
All case packs?
Well, if someone were to buy a case of like a box, not a pallet.
We're not creating cases that exceed 70 pounds because that is what most freight companies will do.
Okay, the reason why I asked that question is some people were inquiring that they live in apartments and they won't deliver anything weighing over 50 pounds to where they live. So if they buy a box, like a box of clothing.
We can get that weight depending on the product. Obviously, a cosmetic case is probably 20 pounds, 25. A clothing, 100 pieces is probably closer to 60. So it just really depends on what it is.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think we've ever had a case pack not be delivered due to weight restrictions or location or anything like that.
Maybe they don't take it to their apartment because the security won't, deliver it. I'm not sure how that would work, but I've never heard of the freight company not delivering. They won't deliver to your step door if you live like on the 30th floor. They'll give it to the person in front who's in charge of receiving your packages, or on the curb if it's LTL. So it just really depends.
I think we've pretty much covered everything. I mean, the last question I think I really have that we haven't talked about yet is how old the stuff is, because I think people are concerned about buying things like cosmetics or something that may be outdated, and if they're protected, if they receive a whole bunch of cosmetics that are expired, or they receive a whole bunch of vitamins that are out of date or something like that, if there's any form of protection about, well, I can't sell any of this because it's expired. Is that an issue?
Well, it depends on the store. Because a lot of the stores, they go through their returns pretty much on a weekly or monthly basis. And some of them it's a longer process for them, yeah. So does it get expired? If it's a shelf pull item, you have higher risk to find expired goods when it comes to HBA and cosmetics. When it's overstock goods, they should be new overstock and in date. And when it comes to cosmetics, you can have a shelf life of 2 to 5 years, just depending on what it is. You shouldn't find any expired goods. They should be within the time frame.
Okay.
In new overstock.
New overstock.
No.
Because shelf pull, like a small percentage, maybe outdated or short dated. But we stand behind all our listings. So on our How It Works page, if you go down to product conditions, you can read all the different scenarios in customer returns. So it will say, or in shelf pulls. And I'll tell you, cosmetics may be short dated, or a small percentage could be outdated. Masticates, everything will be in date. New overstock, everything will be in date. So on and so forth.
All right. Well, it seems to me like we pretty much hit on a lot of stuff. So I would basically say at this point, if you have questions that were not answered, there's a lot of information on the website.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is basically take a couple of minutes and sign up to buy from Via Trading, and then you get yourself a dedicated account representative, a dedicated account manager, and they can answer any question that you might have, and there's no cost to that. You don't have to pay for a membership, and you have an account manager to answer every question that you have, right? So
Free information.
yeah, there you go. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me and answering all of these questions. I really appreciate it, and I know everybody else does too.
Anytime.
All right, thank you guys so much.
All right.